So I have a 2002 Ford F350, dual rear wheel, 7.3 diesel, extended cab, the whole nine. Anyway, I was on my way to Lancaster last weekend. I get about 15 minutes from my destination. I have like a 2-hour ride, so I'm 15 minutes from there, and I get this grinding noise coming from my right front wheel. And it was literally like a scraping, grinding noise. And it was obviously rotational because every time the wheel spun, I would hear the noise. And it was a scrape, 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 probably 20 mile an hour. And then the faster I got, obviously the faster it got. So it almost sounded consistent rather than just the scrape, scrape, scrape. Anyway, so when I got back from Lancaster, what I did was I brought the truck in the shop. I checked all the obvious stuff. Checked the front end, had a little bit of play in a hub bearing, nothing I would call excessive. The brakes were down to like 10-20%. I figured, well, I gotta do this stuff anyway. So I put new brakes on it, new pads, new rotors, new hub and bearing, all from the dealer. I always use Ford stuff. Backing plate was a little rusty, but it was still there. Anyway, put it all back together. The noise was still there, like no change. I'm like, okay, now I really gotta try and fix this thing. Started looking around, couldn't really see anything obvious. So I took out the hub for the 4-wheel drive, manual hub, figuring, maybe the axle's spinning with it, maybe there's something. I was really grabbing at straws. Took out the hub, drove it, noise was still there. The 4-wheel drive auto hub. Anyway, just didn't know what it was. So I thought, well, the only thing that spins in 2-wheel drive would be the wheel, the rotor, and the hub. Like nothing else is really spinning. And it was definitely a spinning noise from the right front wheel. So I said, well, maybe I'll just swap the 2 front wheels to see if the noise changes. Because previously I had a problem with I had a wheel cracked on the front. Never made a noise, but I had one of my aluminum wheels cracked. So I go to swap the wheels side to side. And before I did, I just happened to notice this wheel is cracked. So this wheel's been here for about 2 years. It's used, whatever. But the wheel is cracked. So this is the second wheel that cracked. But regardless of the point, I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's making the noise because I don't know, but maybe it's making the noise. My last wheel cracked in the same spot. I had it welded just to keep it for a spare, but it made no noise. Just noticed it was cracked. So I'm like, okay. So I went home. I got the spare wheel that I had welded to keep as a spare. And sure enough, I put it on and the noise is gone. So I really don't know why these Ford wheels crack here. Really, and it's always been my right front. But I can only assume when the wheel was spinning, here's the crack. When it was spinning, once it would get down to the bottom, I guess maybe the weight of the truck would make this ear, move or shift or something to make that scraping sound. Because you can see it went all the way through. So, I guess it could have been a potentially dangerous situation, but anyway. So yeah, I went home, I got the spare wheel, mounted the tire on it, put it on the truck, and I'll show you. It was cracked in the same spot, but I had it repaired to keep it for a spare. And it's fixed. Very strange. Like I said, both wheels, one wheel cracked, no noise. Same spot, another wheel cracked, and this one made a grinding noise. And I chased it for a couple days, the stuff that I replaced I needed anyway, so really no harm, no foul. But I just figured I'd share with you guys because I work as a mechanic and I use, YouTube and forums all the time, just for things that I maybe haven't run into, but I haven't seen anybody run into this yet. So hopefully this helps you guys. Again, all the forums I read had all the basic stuff that I already did, but none of them said a cracked wheel. But yep, that was definitely the noise. All right, guys, hope this helps.